Welcome to the Two Regular Guys Best of US show. Sorry, I'm stumbling today. This is a Saturday edition. We're filming, or excuse me, it's Sunday, isn't it? Yes,
Sunday,
it's Sunday.
Sunday
Over here
fun
is
day.
Mark, our techno analysis guru of Best of US Investors, and I'm Trent. And we are going to get into some really crazy stuff that's going on. We've all anticipated a resignation or a dropping out of the presidential list by Biden. And guess what? It happened a couple hours ago. We're going to hit upon that, along with we're going to talk about the markets and what's happening and what could come in the coming week. And big event in Nashville in the coming week. Trump is going to be at the big Bitcoin conference, along with JD Vance, his vice president nominee as well. And this could be a banger for the crypto market. So, real quick, this is not advice or recommendation. Do your own due diligence when it comes to investing, and always think first before you buy and before you sell. So, let's get going.
Okay, well, I
Right.
think since it's Sunday, we're kind of off key a little bit, but I'll be traveling this week. I'll still be involved on the Discord and everything, but uh, so we decided to do the Two Regular Guys show a little bit early, and it's kind of good that we're doing it because just like Trent said, just an hour ago, uh, uh, the news came out that the president's going to step down. He's going to remain president, from what I understand, till his term ends in January 20th. And then he has endorsed his vice president, Harris, to, continue on. So we'll see what the Democratic Party does. It's going to be an interesting week, and how it affects stocks, I don't know. Last week we had, this has really been a weird time. The attempted assassination on President Trump, and Monday opened up and the markets went up. Okay. And the same thing when John F. Kennedy was killed, and the markets went up. So things just aren't always connected. But when the markets went up, it was in unison with Jay Powell saying, we don't need 2% to start, lowering rates. And then when Trump got up and he did his fist bump and said, fight, and people saw that he was all right, that almost automatically in the market just assumed that Trump was going to be our next president. So
did you know, and they haven't really reported on this, but after that all happened and he was fist pumping, fight, in unison, people started chanting USA, USA.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a bringing things together kind of event.
I think even Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that's one badass guy.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he said, no matter what your political background is, you kind of had to have a tear in your eye that, that here somebody's trying to take out, a past president, an American citizen, on national TV.
A father, grandfather, granted multiple wives, but he's a human being.
Yeah. And I think you saw that, last week we had the convention, and 3-4 days later he starts the convention.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's really, I watching the convention when he walked in, he was kind of, everyone, and a lot of people said he looked changed, like, I guess when you do that and you come that close to, a life-threatening situation, it does change. And I was in New York City on 9/11 when all that happened. And I know that, although I didn't, I wasn't in the building, I was very close to it. So I didn't feel like I was going to be, shot or killed or building fall on me.
Right.
It still changes the way you think about things. And it does change your life and your outlook on things. And so we'll see how that goes.
He definitely seems to be a softer person, and not in a like just his overall aura isn't as aggressive.
Yeah, it seemed calmer.
Yes. And actually prior to this happening, I saw an interview with him with the All In podcast guys, and they did like an hour and a half interview with him, and he just seemed very just different than he did during his presidency. Not as aggressive or that kind of thing. So, but I also think, how does this change markets in the direction of where this goes? Is this like, Biden dropping out as a candidate for presidency and Harris coming in? And actually, my question is, he endorses her as the potential, candidate. Is he the all, he's the final say on that, or is it the Democratic Party who decides that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how the Democratic, what their laws and regulations are in the convention and how that all works. And we're going to find out. It's going to be
Yeah,
fascinating. But I've already seen, on the news shows that they're putting up like 7 or 8 faces, and the regulars,
yeah.
Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom,
Hmm.
a whole bunch of people along with Kamala Harris. And
Yeah,
so uh, it's going to be interesting to see how they try to replace Kamala Harris after they made a big deal about choosing her. So we'll see.
yeah,
It's going to be fascinating to me. I'm going to, it sucks that I hate to say it, going on vacation, because these are the kind of things I like to watch. But once I get a margarita and I'm sitting there looking at the Gulf of Mexico, I don't really
yeah,
care all that much. So
yeah, yeah.
you
Right.
can you
It'll be
can you
all.
can you can report on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you're right there too. So
yeah, exactly. I'm used to
uh,
being near the
it's
Gulf.
it's 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 something that I can't affect and you can't affect. We're just gonna have to
Right.
sit and watch what happens, and life moves on. I just hope that everyone settles down a little bit and treat everyone like your brother and sister and your Americans first,
Yeah,
and get back on that look of life instead of
yeah,
gosh, it's just disgusting for me as two regular guys.
yeah,
you know, I know people and friends, and they're on board one way or the other, and
yeah.
there's no discussion in between, and that sucks, so
It does, and I think hopefully the events of the last, say, 7 to 10 days really shines light on our language of how we talk about each other or to each other. Um, you know, and I think that's one thing that we need to get over. That we need to get it back into the game of let's make this country great, and not to
yeah.
take one
I
side of it, but in general, how do we unify, accept each other for who we are, and really take this incredible basket of talent and opportunity in this country and come together and make it reestablish ourselves as the country that people aspire to be.
Well,
you
the
know
one that I knew growing up, and it just
yeah,
seems different now, so
yeah.
hopefully.
Well, I'm curious to see how this news affects markets going into the week, so I'd love to
I,
hear what you got to say about this.
I think last week and a little bit in the week before the end of the week, we saw what Jay Powell came out and then all the Fed talk was about, we don't really need to see 2% before we start lowering. And you had a good point last week on, you think they're actually going to raise it, okay, which is fascinating to me. So the market, was going up, and then we saw that the small caps were starting to pick up a little bit because if I'm a small cap company and my interest rates come down, that makes it easier for me to run my business because most of those guys have to borrow money. They don't have a big stockpile like Microsoft or Nvidia that they can run their company with. And
Hmm.
so you started seeing a little bit of a transition to that point. And uh, then we went to Monday, and that was the first open bell after the assassination attempt, and the whole markets went up. Everything went up,
Right.
Uh, and then we got to a point, I think it was Wednesday, and a news report came out about the Biden administration is going to go look at sanctioning companies in the tech semiconductor world that were supplying to China. So that dumped all the semiconductors, and of course the tech fell with it. Uh, and then you saw, the Russell went up again, and I got a chart here that'll show. Uh, but uh, then, you know, we saw profit taking happen because you had all this money coming out of big tech, buying these little stocks. Uh, and then people are like, well, that should take some profit out of this too, because what did they go up? 6, 7, 12? No, like 12% on the Russell or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty
It was,
substantial.
yeah, it was pretty substantial in a week's time.
You
Um,
think about this. Nvidia last week went down 8.73% for the week.
yeah.
So imagine the amount of wealth that was lost there. And then yeah, Russell 2000 goes up roughly 10-12%. It's obvious to me where that money just shuffled to.
Oh yeah, and the charts show it. You know, the charts showing it. Let me just put one up here, and we'll just take a look
Okay.
at it right now.
All
And
right.
we've been showing this chart for a while. And so what I have here is the white line. That's the S&P 500 weighted. So this is with the heavy the top 10 stocks are 37% of the market cap. The
Mm-hmm.
yellow line is the Nasdaq or the Qs, and you can see, you know, they have a lot of the same stocks in their weightings. And we went up and up and up, and then we started seeing a reversal in both
Yeah.
the Dow or the S&P and the Nasdaq, and that's when we saw right here. This is the small caps, the IWM, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where you can see the money went into there, and then all of a sudden we had profit taking, and everything's gone down. So
Yeah.
we went from like trading together to diverging, okay, with the Qs and the S&P weighted sectors, you know, rising while the small caps went down, and then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden they converged, and now they're going in the same direction down. So I'm anticipating we might see a lot more of this. So in a swing trading world that I live in, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we had 2 great weeks. I mean, there were some great weeks here in all this where I literally said you could throw a dart, you know, like the old days, and you could swing trade anything, you know. And we did a lot in the paper trade portfolio. You can go look at it. And then about last Wednesday, pretty much got out of everything. And for Thursday and Friday, which is here, I just stayed out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I let the market come to us, and there's no reason, not that you can't find swing trades, but the ability, you know, the flow, the momentum going down is just something I don't want to fight in the markets. And so you take your profits and you sit out. And I think that's going to be this what we're going to do this week, unless something else happens to make this turn around. But right now, you know, I'll wait for setups again. But you can see where the money went and where it's going. And even, you know, you go down to the MACD on the SPY, you know,
Yeah.
that's not looking good. Look at that. Here's
Yeah.
the stochastic. That's not looking good. So I'm not expecting to see anything, you know, come back uh, very quickly on that
Yeah. I
line.
think
So
when you look
usually,
at that move in the Russell 2000 over the last week and a half, that is really a very short-term vertical move. That's pretty substantial. I had heard that Stan Druckenmiller, famous for being a part of the team that George Soros' team who broke the British pound, he had bought calls on the Russell 2000 about a week prior to this whole move in the Russell. I got to assume he got out on Friday, right?
I would
So
imagine.
that's reversing that trade. And I suspect, couple that with a bunch of other hedge funds or family offices who went in and did something similar. Reversing that trade means those market makers are going to sell that position in the Russell 2000 or whatever, how they countered that or played that so they didn't get taken out to the woodshed. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Russell 2000 retrace at least 50% of that up move. And it looks like it's already made about probably half or 25% of it. So,
When I think of it, let's say that we do get a rate cut, and then we're having an FOMC meeting at the end of July, and they're going to come out, you know, with their statements. We're going to have countdown clocks, and Steve Leisman will be there reading this paper and trying to find the best thing out of it. Same old thing we've been going through for 18 months, which is really wearing on me. You know, I don't care all that much because why do I care if I have a rate cut when the market's been going up like, you know, record numbers, you know? So
right.
anyway, so let's say they come out and they do a quarter point rate cut. Okay. Quarter
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yeah.
Big deal. Big deal.
It,
How's that gonna it's gonna take 8 to 8 months to 12 months to get that going through the system, you know. Maybe mortgages will come down a little bit more. But
yep.
other than that, what's that gonna do? I mean,
It's a
seriously.
cycle. It's a psychological effect, really. Um, I spoke about this last week a little bit about the amount of money that is being lost in the top three positions in the S&P, Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia. That affects people's 401k plans. If this is a political kind of situation, um, that those people will get their quarterly statements sometime in October, mid-October. They'll see if this continues to sell like it has been, the S&P has been selling. It may actually, from the standpoint of the Fed looking at this going, I can't have this on my watch. That would force them, in my opinion, to move rates. If it's a quarter point, yeah, I think if you're going to do it, go big or go home. So I wouldn't be surprised 50, but I don't know. Right now it just really depends on where the S&P, in my opinion, S&P and the really those Mag 7 stocks really go in the next week.
Well,
Um,
we'll know when earnings start. Don't we have some of the big earnings coming up on some of them this week?
yeah. So if I mean, I guess a lot of it sits upon the shoulders of a Microsoft and a Nvidia, really. Apple, I don't really know
No,
if
Google maybe.
Google. But I think, everybody has been all high on NVIDIA and they are the savior of the world kind of thing. If they miss, or more importantly, guide lower or to flat, that could be possibly one of those things that forces the hand of the Fed to lower rates.
Yeah, and
But like
if they
you've always
get
said, it causes inflation.
well, and it causes recession when they do it.
Yeah,
We looked at the chart, historically. Now,
yeah,
past history doesn't always predict future outcomes, but it looks
yeah,
pretty strong. And if take your scenario, they do it at 50 basis points or 75, whatever. If they do it too much, the market's initially, in my opinion, going to go up in glee. Then they're going to think, well, why are they doing it so much?
right.
Is something wrong? And then you're going to see it, come back
Yeah.
down. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's
I think, and this kind of thing, if I saw a 50, 75 point move in the Fed funds rate, well, that means you're down around, right, like 4.75 to four and or 4.75 to 4.5. Well, all of a sudden mortgage rates just got cheaper. You probably see a spike in refinancing or a spike in purchasing, because that would bring the 30-year mortgage off of 7%, and it would become quote unquote reasonable again, or
yeah.
actually historically normal. So I don't know. I think this, I could be off my rocker that the Fed, is paying attention to markets. I gotta believe they do. Um, but I don't know. I think we're just in a really unique time. But also, I think it presents opportunity because typically when you see a rotation out of risk into risk off, there's value. I mean, isn't this what Warren Buffett is constantly looking for? Is uh, underpriced, well-priced value kind of positions to buy, and he's holding a ton of cash. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think he looks for more wounded animals than he does just. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think we're done reducing valuations on a lot of this company. I think we have some room to go. That's just my
yeah.
personal opinion.
No, I
Yeah,
think
I
so
could be
too.
wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong.
I, I, yeah. So I definitely
I
think there will create some opportunity though, that if you get outside the whole narrow box we've been in, that lane that we've been in for the last year and a half, I think you can definitely find some opportunity in the markets.
Well, yeah, like I said, the last 2 weeks have been wonderful for finding companies because all that money flowed out of the big tech and into these other companies, and everybody was all the high tide lifts all boats, and that's what happened. And but
Yeah,
now the tide's going out a little bit,
yeah,
according to the charts, and we'll see how it goes. But I think this week is going to be the week of crypto, though. I think, and I've been watching the crypto and Bitcoin especially come out, and I think on Tuesday they're going to come out with the Bitcoin or the Ethereum ETF,
oh
just like the
wow,
Bitcoin ETF. So
okay,
that comes out and is offered. The Bitcoin ETF, like IBIT from BlackRock, is the
mm-hmm.
most successful launching ETF ever.
Right,
Okay, and so now the number two coin is Ethereum, and you know more about it than I do on Ethereum, but Ethereum is a coin that actually has operations in it, and they build other things on Ethereum. Is
yeah,
that correct?
yeah, that's right. I think that was one of the first to have where people built programs or systems on it, and it became the platform for which you built blockchain technology on. Bitcoin is not as advanced or vast in its ability to build um, systems and processes on. Ethereum became that, that go-to when that all happened. And a lot of, there's a lot of money in Ethereum. So if they became a ETF like Bitcoin did back in January, February, it's another avenue for money to go to that number one, it trades 24/7. It's pretty darn liquid. It settles out within minutes. So it isn't like a stock where you buy it one day and it settles the next day or 2 days later. It settles right away. So it creates, I think, another, wow, that chart looks like a
That's Ethereum.
potential, yeah, a potential skyrocker.
Yeah,
So
and so you can see they're anticipating it, you know.
yeah,
We'll see. Right now it is, since it trades live, we're 3,500,
yeah,
3,500. I've heard people talk about if this goes through, uh, you could go up to 10,000.
yeah. And,
That's someone else. I don't know where it's going to go, but right now the chart looks really good. You know,
Yeah, and just for those who don't know much about buying cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can buy fractional shares. So yes, it's right around 35, 34, 3,500. You can
3,500.
buy $10 worth of it, where which is a little different than actually buying a stock of the same price.
Right.
So this opens up the opportunity for people who have a small initial investment that they could get into something like this, and you could buy $35 of it.
Yep.
Watch the
There's
brokerage fees for sure, but that's
yeah.
not recommendation or advice. But it creates a crypto creates an opportunity to buy fractional shares of things.
Same is true with Bitcoin, which is this chart, which looks eerily similar to Ethereum.
Yeah,
But again, you're seeing a channel heading up.
yeah.
We've gone past the 9, the 200, the 20, and we're riding the upper Bollinger Band. Um, so again, we'll see what happens, because the second thing that's happening this week, and if Ethereum goes through, we'll have all those ETFs.
Yeah,
The second thing that's happening is this Bitcoin conference that's going on in Nashville, and it's a big one. You got
it's a
Michael
biggie.
Saylor there.
Yeah,
Edward Snowden's going to talk. I mean, there's Kathy Wood's going to be there. I mean, it's just a huge thing. And Donald Trump's going to be there, and RFK Jr. is going to be there.
yeah.
So Donald Trump's going to do the keynote speech, I think, on the last day.
Hmm.
And there's speculation, because he has JD Vance now, who really is into Bitcoin,
Hmm.
okay, and crypto, and I think they're talking about, what if he would say, we're thinking about the possibility of including Bitcoin into our reserves, such as gold, our reserves. And if that would happen, and I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying there's speculation out there. There's always speculation. So I'm
Sure.
not saying this is what's going to happen,
Right.
but think about what that would do,
Oh,
for the industry and for Bitcoin in general.
oh. I mean, if a country, well, I mean, El Salvador has adopted it as
Right.
a
Currency.
currency,
Yep.
and probably a store of value as well, if I remember right. Maybe Nicaragua. I don't know. But but if the United States were to adopt a position as a country in it as a store of value, that's a lot of money, you know, and possibly, and I've always believed they actually own it already to an extent. Is this the way you solve our debt problem?
Yeah.
Because I
Well,
mean, could it gain so much that it offsets some of the U.S. national debt, or becomes more of just a normal adoption to it?
yep.
Um, I don't know. We'll see, but I think it's definitely catching steam. And then with Trump and Vance as well being in Nashville for this conference, that's a pretty big endorsement. I mean, if you
Yeah.
think about it,
Well,
that's
here's
gigantic.
this is IBIT. This is the iShares Bitcoin Trust. This is when the ETF came out for spot price of Bitcoin. You can see it started out here in February. It just shot right up.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we got into the sideways pattern, and then so it came back down. And now you can see what's happening again today. And all time high is up here. What 70? Oh,
Two.
well this is the ETF, but this is
Oh,
where the
okay.
all time high. So I
Yeah.
mean, we'll see. So this is another way that people. I'm not endorsing it that you go out and do it. It's on your own. Do your own due diligence. But
Yeah.
if you wanted to invest in Bitcoin or now maybe Ethereum, you can go to these ETFs. Now the difference is you can get in and out, just like you're trading the stock or any other ETF, but you
Right.
don't really own the Bitcoin. You can't pull it out. Like if you're at Coinbase, you can go buy, like you said, $50, $100 worth of Bitcoin, and then you can actually take that Bitcoin, that percentage of 0.000, whatever it is, and
Right.
take it out and put it into cold storage, and you have it. You don't
Yeah.
have to leave it. In this ETF, when you sell it, you sell it. You don't really ever take possession of it.
Right.
Uh, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I think, it's sort of similar to some of the other indexes when you buy ETF, say the XLK, which is technology, you don't really own the underlying stocks. You just own the wrapper in a sense, or the bucket for which it all
Yep.
sits in. Yeah. But yeah, I think this will be an interesting week for sure, especially with the news about Biden stepping out of the election or the presidential campaign, endorsing Harris. Curious to see where that goes. Curious to see how all that affects markets. Will we see a rebound in the big mag 7, in particular the mag 3 this week? And then how does this Bitcoin conference and Trump and Vance showing up to this and Snowden and Michael
Yeah,
Saylor and all of this,
Michael
like,
Saylor.
does this create um I don't know,
More,
excitement, you
well,
know?
more legitimacy.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. I think it definitely, especially if a president gets behind Bitcoin, yeah, I think it becomes a big deal, especially if the US were to adopt it as a store of value in some way,
Yep.
not as a currency, but a store of value.
Yep.
Which, yeah, that'd be interesting.
I
So,
mean, here's something I always watch is with Michael Saylor. He is the CEO of MicroStrategy, and
mhm,
here's where the halving happened. We started seeing that Bitcoin go up. So their entire treasury
yeah.
that MicroStrategy has is all in Bitcoin. I think they're other than BlackRock in their ETF. This is the largest holder of Bitcoin, and you can
Hmm.
see his price of his stock. I'll get a little closer here. You know, is doing the same thing as Bitcoin basically. I mean, for a swing trade, if you got in here and you're still going, you're riding the Bollinger Band. We have a little bit of a resistance level up here at almost $1,900.
Yeah.
Okay, but we had a nice little pop last Friday. It went up for 15% to 1778. So
Yeah.
if Bitcoin goes up, because these guys have so much Bitcoin in their treasuries, it's just going to be correlated to the price of Bitcoin. So here's
Yeah.
another way if you wanted to play it, you could play Bitcoin also.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to do it. I'm just giving you some options you can go look at, do your own due diligence.
Yeah. I think if we continue to see a rotation out of the Mag 3, I think you'll most likely see Bitcoin, and if Ethereum's ETF does get approved, um, we'll see the crypto side go up because I
And
think it's they're
I think
looking
that's
for
the
value.
focus of the week. I think
Yeah,
that'll be the focus of the week for me is I'm going to watch Ethereum and
yeah,
Bitcoin and this, and um, we'll just see. It's going to be interesting. It is an asset class. It's an asset class people don't fully understand, and it's so weird because everyone who has gone through this, and even Trump has said, at first I thought it was garbage, and I started learning about it, and I spent more time looking into it, and I talked to more people. He says, now I realized, that it's actually pretty cool. And they even take donations, I think,
yeah,
political donations of Bitcoin, you know.
yeah.
So,
Pretty
uh,
phenomenal.
and now when he has JD Vance, and he's all about it, and
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting. And I really want to see that speech, so I'll be looking forward to seeing what he says.
yeah. Well,
I'll be
cool.
interested. I'll be interested to see the reaction of the crowd because it's a different kind of crowd. These Bitcoin. You've been to a Bitcoin conference,
Yeah,
do you know?
I went to one in Miami in 22, I think it was.
Hmm.
And you get a whole bunch of different types of people. You get the the computer geeky guys all the way to suit and tie corporate who see this as an opportunity. Yeah, and I think this coming week in Nashville at the Bitcoin conference, that is just going to be that's going to be a whole different bucket of people. That's going to be a
Well,
whole
you're
diverse
seeing,
group.
yeah, and you're seeing the big guys like Larry Fink from BlackRock. He did the same thing. He did an interview, I think, on CNBC last week. He's like, when I first got into it, I thought, this is nothing, I'm not going to. And now he says, I was wrong,
Yeah.
and now he's turned around. He's got these ETFs out there. And I think the last shoe to follow will be Jamie Dimon when he finally, gives up the goose on this one. And I
Yeah.
think he will. I mean, his own company, JP Morgan they do stuff with Bitcoin and blockchain.
Oh yeah.
So he understands it.
Yeah. He was, I think, one of the early adopters of Ripple XRP's technology,
Yeah.
which that's transferring money and transferring assets and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. So this will be the week for it. That is for sure.
Yep.
So, well, you got anything else you want to hit upon?
Now I see Ginger kind of walking behind you down there. So
Yeah,
she's
we're doing some moving today.
there you go.
uh, we have mother-in-law and sister-in-law who just moved in to their house, two houses. So I'll be moving boxes here in a little bit.
That sounds like something a regular guy would do on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, this is what a 55-year-old guy should not be doing, and that is killing his back.
Yeah.
So I may be on my back tomorrow for sure.
Well, I'll
Well,
be I'll be on an airplane tomorrow and heading down to your fabulous state and
awesome.
enjoy some libations and hopefully some sunshine. It looks like a little bit of rain, which you normally have at this time of year down there. So
Yeah. Well, I hope you have a great time. We'll talk to you. I know you'll be on the Discord here and there
yep. If
throughout the week.
something happens, we'll jump on live and
Yep.
have some fun.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Well,
So,
cool. Well, Mark, thanks. And I think this is going to be a really interesting, exciting week. And we appreciate you all sticking to the end of the video. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button. Go check us out at bestofusinvestors.com, where we have a 14-day free trial on our Platinum service, and give us a try. We have a whole slew of different services we provide in there. But most importantly, we give you ideas. We teach you how to invest in them and how to manage your overall money and risks. So,
and I want to give a shout out to regular guys, Warner Cattle, all the guys that are
oh, there
at
you
Warner
go.
Cattle.
Right
Yeah,
on.
keeping
Yeah.
food and steaks on the table for us. So that they're regular guys and they drive regular trucks and drink regular beer and live regular lives.
I need to get somebody down here on Highway 38 to give me like a
Well,
hat or something.
anyone wants to
Give me
send,
an endorsement.
I'm starting to run out of hats because people are my regular guys who watch the show and they send them in. So if they want to send us some hats, we'll certainly wear them.
We absolutely
Give you
need
a little
them,
shout
but
out.
yes. Yeah.
A non-paid endorsement, I must say. So
Yes, that's right.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, cool. All right, guys. Have a good week and we'll see you later.
All
Peace.
right. And cut.
Cut.